One of my favourite things is when you develop that relationship with a client, they can walk in the room a week after you work with them and suddenly I'm like, ooh, that's different.
Before we dive into this week's episode, let's talk about a brand we both genuinely love, Cytoplan. You've probably heard us mention them before, and that's because their supplements are next level.
Yes, Cytoplan has been part of my routine for a while now. They just get it when it comes to health. Their whole approach is rooted in science and totally in tune with nature.
Exactly. Their formulas are bioeffective, which basically means the nutrients are in forms your body actually recognizes and uses properly and at the appropriate levels. Cytoplan is used and trusted by health practitioners across the country. Their formulas are developed by nutritional therapists and backed by over 3 decades of clinical insight. You really can feel the quality when you take them.
Plus, it's not just about what's in the bottle, it's the mission behind it too. Cytoplan is 100% owned by a charitable foundation, which means everything they do is about helping people live well for longer. It's not about trends or quick fixes, it's about real, lasting health.
That is so wonderful to know. And whether it's our energy, perimenopause, menopause itself, sleep, immunity, or just staying on top of your health, they've got you covered. You can also get a free health questionnaire and a consultation by ringing the helpline.
So if you're ready to take ownership of your health, check out Cytoplan, powered by nature, proven by science, and rooted in purpose. We'll pop the link and an exclusive 15% discount code in the show notes. Hello, I'm Caramellas.
Hello there, I'm Dr. Rosy Daniel.
You've just tuned in to Alive and Loving It, and we're here to help you bring joy and energy back to your life. This week on Alive and Loving It, our guest expert is my dear friend and longtime Pilates teacher, Louise Collinson. I met Louise back in 2009, right at the beginning of my health journey with Pilates. She has helped me keep on the straight and narrow with my spine, and our relationship has turned into one of friendship. But right from the beginning, from the second I met her, she just exudes trust and safety. And actually what she's done for me most of all is helped me break so many limiting beliefs around my health and with the scoliosis in my spine. I'm forever grateful. Have a listen to the episode to hear more about that. But Louise has directed Body and Mind Pilates in Derby, UK, for over 20 years. It's a gorgeous old stable studios in Darley Park, for anybody who knows Derbyshire. It's absolutely beautiful. The environment she has created there is so warm and inviting. You can't do anything but heal under Louise's healing hands. But she was introduced to the Pilates method whilst training as a contemporary dancer, and she used the method to help avoid common injuries. But she went on to undertake a fully comprehensive Pilates training apprenticeship in Sydney, Australia, and then very recently has graduated from Balanced Body's prestigious international educator program in California, and is very excited to host a comprehensive range of Balanced Body Pilates teacher training courses at the Old Stables from this autumn. You heard it here first. So sit back, grab a cuppa, just let the wisdom of Louise flow through you as she shares with you her intuition and knowledge.
Hello and welcome to episode 14 of Alive and Loving It. So today we have a very special guest for you, Louise Collinson, and this is because of a beautiful relationship between Karen and Louise, which is now, I think, 20 years.
So I'm going to hand over to you, Karen, with no further ado, to tell us all about your connection with Louise.
Well, this is a really special episode for me, mainly because I haven't seen Louise very much for the last 2 years. Well, I've been on the road and I've missed you since I see you every single week nearabouts for 20. It can't be that long. It can't be 20 years, can it? So
I
wonderful
know.
to have you here, Louise.
Hello. I know, 20 years, that's kind of scary, isn't it?
Well, the reason why I asked you to come on as a guest is because over the past 20 years, well, I've been learning to look after myself and help myself be well. I've had a number of what I call my health angels around me, of which Rosy is definitely one. And you are another. So you're not my Hell's Angels, you're my health angels.
Oh.
And I started coming to your Pilates studio to help me with my scoliosis in my spine, to see if you could put me on the straight and narrow. You've not managed that yet. I'm not healthier for it. So thank you so much for coming on, Louise. It's
My pleasure.
to be able to talk to you about this. I mean, I think every time I had a session, we would do one of these podcasts in your studio, because we would put the world to rights on all matters of health. So it's great to share your story and your ethos and your services with everybody that's listening in the Alive and Loving It community. So, I mean, what brought you to Pilates? Share that with us first, love.
Well, I was training as a dancer, although I'd had very little experience, and I'd sort of been picked out really, and I'd been given a scholarship, and I thought, this is amazing. I really want to be a dancer. And then I got to dance school and they went, oh, there's a lot of work to do. I was like, really? And I'd never really done ballet before. And I was just getting to grips with my body really. I was only 18 and had not started anything before. And my ballet teacher, I went to a very nice school, had said, I think you should try Pilates. It's going to help you understand your body better, and therefore you can translate that into your ballet work. And I thought, oh, okay, I'll give it a go. And pretty much the very first exercise she gave me was kind of hell. And I thought, oh, and she'd identified exactly what my body needed at that time. And that resonated with me. I was like, okay, I can use this information to understand my body better and therefore do what I want to do better. So that was kind of my journey really. But I had no idea what it was. But it was pretty spot on straight away.
But that's how remarkable that as a physically gifted young person, that you were spotted and given this chance to go somewhere so incredibly special as the Laban College.
Yes. Oh, yeah. It was amazing. There was lots of different things in place magically, and just through opportunities via school and county council at the time. Probably less opportunities now with all of those things. Then yes, I was sort of spotted and given an opportunity that I ordinarily wouldn't have had. So yeah, it was an amazing thing, and I was down there going, yes. Give me everything. This is amazing. But it was really hard work.
I bet. I mean, to suddenly go into the discipline of ballet and contemporary dance, that must have been a heck of a body shock.
It was, yes. And I think if I look back now, I do quite a lot of work with training young dancers. And part of that work is really based on my experience. The first year of going to dance college was a wake-up call in many ways. And lots of dancers around me got quite injured. And again, you have to love what you do because it becomes what you do, not just your hobby, it's what you do. And everybody thinks, God, you're so lucky to be a dancer. And actually, it's a slog, you know. I mean, like everything, you know. So yes, I was very lucky, and that's one of the reasons I try and give back now and work with training young dancers to give them a realistic understanding of what they're going to be up
And
against.
at that time, Louise, did you see yourself making dance your thing? Were you going to be a professional dancer?
No, I knew the physical stuff was really my thing. It's the only thing that dragged me through school, was really all the other bits. You know, the dance club at lunchtime, gym club, running these different things, my drama teacher, all of those things got me through the other stuff. So I kind of thought maybe I'd be a PE teacher. Maybe I could do the dance through that kind of avenue. Because I actually thought, because I hadn't done dance since I was a teeny tiny thing, no exams or anything, that actually that wouldn't be available for me. But yes, I was spotted, and I came through, got a dance career, and thought, oh, this is the bomb.
This topic that we're talking about, the reason why you're here is called physical needs. And we spoke quite a lot last week about dance being a wonderful way of, giving our body what it needs, that movement, but also touching into your spirit and the sort of music that you like to listen to. What's your favourite, Louise? What's the favourite dance that you've got?
I mean, do you mean on the dance floor? Do you mean bedroom dancing in my own space, or actually officially?
Well, kitchen disco
Because it all
dancing.
has worth.
If nobody's looking to release your spirit and your soul, what is it for you?
Oh, then it's really loud and it's jump up and down on the spot kind of stuff. No technique, nothing formal, and nobody watching.
Well, I saw a whole presentation from Angela Rippon the other day at a conference in London, the IPM conference. And she's now become such a fully paid up advocate for dance, saying that the science is showing that it is the best thing for us in terms of both the physicality and the coordination for brain health, but also that social connection, meeting another eye to eye, you know, to dance together.
Yeah, that's right. And also that connection to music. You don't always have to dance to music, but there is that rhythm, that even internal rhythm and tune that you have that takes you somewhere else bodily, but also your head somewhere else as well.
Yes.
And that can transcend space and time, you know.
But you're obviously a body person, but you've called what you do body in mind Pilates. So,
Yes.
as you know, I'm a mind body doctor, and it's all about that connection. I'd love to know what it means for you.
I think, again, I went off to be a professional dancer. And actually, as I went through that, the overriding joyous bit for me was not, I mean, I love performing. That was great. I love doing it and participating. But it was the other people. So it was that connection, that amazing electric physical connection with somebody that you shared space and time with, but also that physicality, and that's quite rare, I think. And it was not just movement. I couldn't divorce it all from, you know, physical and mental well-being and health. You know, my favorite place still is in the studio when I'm working either on my own or with other people, but moving. Yeah.
So obviously there was a day when Pilates became your thing. So how did it get born? How did it happen?
Yeah, well, I'd since that first connection to it at college, I had kept up with my Pilates practice because it was a great way to avoid injury, a great way to focus, and a great way just to keep my training going. I then went into more dance development, so working with lots of young people, lots of people in the communities, well, you know, across the ages. And for me, the Pilates kept bringing me back to the actual physiology of the movement as well. And that became more and more useful not just for understanding my own body, but for understanding lots of different bodies who still want to dance, still want to move, but maybe can't get their leg where Angela Rippon can get hers, and don't necessarily have that natural ability or physicality. And so the crossover of the dance and the Pilates was just really natural.
Beautiful. So, Karen, this has been profound for you. We're going to next week have a whole episode dedicated to your journey with Louise. But what took you to Pilates, and what did that connection with Louise mean for you? Well, that's what I'm really connecting to as you're speaking, actually, is I am right back in the studio for that one-to-one time with this very special person. And it became a dance between us. The whole session is a dance, Louise. You know, I go in with I'm pain in my shoulder, or I feel twisted here, and then you give me instruction and I respond to that. And sometimes I think, Rosy, there didn't need to be words. There was a touch, you know, like you would touch my shoulder or my arm and my muscle would relax. There became a remembering between us. What a fantastic symbiotic relationship between teacher and client, between healer and, you know, the person being healed. I feel quite tender thinking about that, Louise. I'd never thought of our relationship like that before until
I've got some tissues, hang on.
until you said then about how it was always what attracted you was the actual connection with other people. I mean, we are like, we're individuals, aren't we? But in that situation, in your studio, you have created an environment where people can connect and interact and share that same energy. Oh, thank you so much.
Oh, well, that's a pleasure. And I see it from a slightly different point of view. I always feel privileged. Not only, I mean, and I've worked really hard to make a safe, comfortable, open, expressive place where people feel they can do that and that they are not only cared for and looked after, but listened to, whether that be physically or, verbally, but also a place where it's positive touch. There's lots of places in this world where there's a lot of negative touch. In fact, even touch is very scary and frowned upon. And so to have a studio where people will come to do that, they don't necessarily have any experience in that. So they're not necessarily dancers or they work very physically. I feel very privileged that people entrust me with that, and then that relationship builds, So I see it from the other side of that.
Yeah, I went to Pilates because of my physical structure and I was in pain. So I wanted to relieve the physical pain. What I got through the 20 years of sessions is much more than that. You know, I'm now really aware of how the physical pain can be made worse if I'm in emotional pain, if I'm in the grip that Rosy was talking about last week. And some of the things that, some of the moves you put me in, some of the positions you put me in, and the way that, I remember this one exercise where I'm laid on the Pilates reformer bed and you're stood above me and my legs are up and crossed and you press gently and tears just roll down my face because I'm holding emotion in the psoas muscle. And that's just like magic. I'm not emotionally, I've not just had an upset that has caused those tears. It is that emotion that's held that I didn't even realize releasing. You must have seen that so many times, Louise.
Yeah, I always say we have lots of tissues around and it's not necessarily for coughs and colds. And also that doesn't have to be, I always acknowledge that with clients, but we don't have to delve into it necessarily. It doesn't suddenly have to open up this whole session of counselling. It just is an awareness of the body. Yeah. So I suppose my job is partly a facilitator, just to help you understand where those holding patterns are and also to recognise that that's what the body does, and that potential.
I think it's very beautiful. You're describing pure healing, because you can see where the holding is. Karen and I were talking last week about this as the grip people take. As a doctor, I see people taking grips in their throat, or grips in their chest, or grips in the solar plexus, or in the womb, or even in the rectum that creates piles and so forth. You're seeing those muscular patterns through the rest of the body, and it seems that you've got that incredible awareness where you can just literally put your hand on that wound or that holding place and melt it, so that there's a physical release and an emotional release.
Yeah, and sometimes I'm not magic. They're not magic hands. Okay, they're just responsive.
They are.
Maybe I should insure them, perhaps. Sometimes it's just recognizing three-dimensionally. The more I people watch, and my whole career has been people watching, the more I understand how people move through space and what their fluidity and that kind of thing is. So you can just see, and one of my favorite things is when you develop that relationship with a client, they can walk in the room a week after you work with them, and suddenly I'm like, ooh, that's different. And I say, how are you? They say, oh, I'm fine. Any changes? Yeah, no, all good. And I think, wow, your shoulders here and your hips here. And you can just see that because you remember how they left before. And because I experienced the world very visually, then those skills have kind of melded.
It's real deep physical intelligence, isn't it? We talk about IQ and EQ and even SQ for spiritual intelligence, but you've got PQ, but physical intelligence, where you can just see what's going on and you can untangle. I think Karen, you described it to me as that Louise unraveled your body.
Yeah, every single week. I think whatever I'm going through in the week, whatever stress or, there's my posture, I twist a little bit more. And then every single week, Louise would untwist me. And I would say to you, but the pain's in my right shoulder and you'll be working in my left ankle or something. It's like it starts at the bottom of the corkscrew and worked upwards. I mean, I first found Pilates through mat work. I went to a mat class with my dear friend Kathy Simons. But the Pilates that's impacted me most of all is in the studio, one-to-one with the reformers. So tell us the difference, Louise.
Yeah, I suppose nowadays, well, it's quite groovy at the moment, the reformer itself. But I suppose most people know Pilates through mat classes that happen in the local gym or in the village hall. But Joseph Pilates was a bit of a crazy, mad inventor. Like his brain kept going, and well, what if I try this and we'll try that? And he created a whole series of apparatus, of which the reformer is one of them. There's a whole system of, I guess, weird and wonderful looking kit. Lots of people think it looks quite torturous, really, where we're affixing springs, resistance. It's a little bit more 3D. There are beds, there are platforms, so you can work at different levels. So it takes the work from the floor, and we do floor work classes as well, a bit more three-dimensionally, but it means also you can individualize the movement more. So there's a whole side of it. It's not necessarily just rehab. We do a lot more rehab with the equipment work, but it gives us somewhere to go. It gives us resistance. We can work on strength. We can work on support. We can work on getting a client in a comfortable position to learn something that perhaps their body's not ready to go there fully yet. So we can kind of break things down and build them back up again with the apparatus. So
is that sort of like you're isolating different elements and
areas? Yeah, sometimes, so in example, I've worked with my father through 2 hip replacements. He was a semi-pro footballer for lots of years, so was quite hacked off, really, that he had to have hip replacements. So I've done lots of exercise. It's like, well, yes, you've probably worn them out a bit. And, firstly, there's lots of, limitations on how far he can push the new prosthesis. So I can actually lie him down and adjust the equipment. That there's no way we can go through that, but I can add springs and increase his resistance. So he's building up and coming back to, well, now still playing badminton with his 2 hip replacements. In fact, around here they call him Pilates Pete, but anyway. But again, we could work with him a lot quicker because we could make it specific, but we could work within the parameters he needed to work within. And that's a little bit difficult to control, perhaps, in a larger class situation.
Well, that's making me wonder specifically for my clientele. So the majority of people I see are women with breast cancer. Breast cancer is the most common female cancer, and the majority of them are hormone sensitive. So I see an awful lot of women that are put onto estrogen blocking drugs. So what this means is that from sometimes quite a young age, women are being deprived of their estrogen and potentially at risk of bone thinning and weakening, osteopenia, osteoporosis. And I'm talking to them about isometric exercise and bone loading. So It sounds as if this could be perfect for the women that I'm looking after.
Yes, it really is. And whilst, pushing weights and working resistance is so important for bone health and tissue health, just going and doing that and doing alone is 1, scary, and 2, still a bit dangerous. So having different machines that you can adapt, but I can, as a teacher, I can kind of load something up or take the load down. And I'm creating individual programs really for each person who comes in based on their needs and the apparatus that, Joseph Pilates created this stuff, 50, 60 years ago, he was way ahead of his time. No, it's more than that. I forget how long I've been in this industry for.
So Louise, who needs, how would I decide or advise a client as to who should go to a basic class on the mat, or who should book a one-to-one session with an amazing Pilates teacher like you? Not that there are others like you. No.
Oh, plenty. Well, that's tricky. I think sometimes people are very nervous, and also it can be quite costly, when you're looking at a whole alternative arrangement for your health, and you try lots of different things out, and it's not very cheap. And so if people think, oh, I don't know, but that seems like it's really expensive, a great mat work teacher is a fantastic way to start. It doesn't really matter what entry level you go in, and there's plenty of places to graduate to or to shift to. But just a mat work class is a really good one to start with. However, I would always chat to that teacher to talk about their experience, but also whether they can adapt your needs within class. And I would make sure that they're really well qualified.
Yeah. And so, excuse my ignorance, I haven't tried a reformer, but would you need to be advised one-on-one to use a reformer?
Yeah, I would say that's the best way in, really, a one-on-one. To be fair, one-on-one is the best way into anything, I think, because then you start to build up a relationship with the teacher. They're starting to understand your particular needs, even if they've got to adapt them within a class situation. There's plenty of great teachers who can do that.
Yeah.
But I think the one-on-one also gives you a realistic understanding of what you're going to be asked to do in a class. But it also empowers you, I think, a little bit. So in a one-to-one, we'll talk about all the Pilates fundamental principles that sort of underpin the whole thing. And so it gives you a little bit of time, because there's a lot of information. It gives you a little bit of time just to practice and to feel comfortable even with the language.
Well, tell us about that. Tell us, because you said
the principles.
These 6 principles. And it'd be nice to know which of these principles have applied for you, Karen. But Louise, tell us what the 6 principles are.
Yes. Well, often we add an extra one. I mean, Joseph Pilates himself didn't kind of pin down these principles, but you can see with his work, this is the kind of language he was using. So I have to kind of remember concentration, control, breathing, centering, fluidity, precision, and then nowadays we also add relaxation. Now, I was a bit surprised, I guess, when I first started this because I thought it would be strength, mobility, looking at all these different things, but actually there were much more global principles. So he's looking at your approach to movement and your approach to exercise, but also what you can take with you for your everyday stuff.
Yes.
Well, it sounds like principles for life there, not just Pilates.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for me, those principles help me to, okay, there's a load of moves. There's loads of moves. There's tons of rep. You might have heard of the teaser or the hundreds. Everyone's like, oh God, the Pilates teaser. And that's great. But I think the principles actually give you where to, I don't know, it's your entry point personally, but it gives you the underpinning to take it.
Well, there's so much in exercise that can activate your ego. And that's where exercise, it stops being healthy and it can become unhealthy. And I know for me, I laid on that bed and you would say, just do 10 of each. I'm like, I'm not doing 10, I'm going to do 50 because my ego kicked in and was like, I can do this. And it really, you took a lot of time with me to say, just 10 on one side, just 10 on the other side. And at first I thought, how can this be making a difference? Until
Yeah.
I started to feel it in my body. The other side, the flip side to it, Louise, was that you helped me to overcome limiting beliefs, physical limiting beliefs. I have scoliosis. I've got metal rods in my back. I've been told I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't do the other. And I was 14 when I was told that.
Yeah.
And with you by my side, I have blown those limiting beliefs out of the water. And I am fitter now at 54 than I was when I was 24. So, you really helped guide me to not go into my ego and hurt myself, which I have done at the gym. At a normal gym, I have gone for it and I have hurt myself. So you guided me not to hurt myself, but you also saw when I was in a limiting belief, oh, I can't do that stretch, Louise. That's far too much for me. And no way can I do a sit up. Well, you can on these machines because they make the environment safe for you. So I don't hurt my back or I don't hurt my shoulder. So navigating that to get balance is what you do. And that's been invaluable for me.
Yeah, and that's when you need a specialist really to help you, on your journey. Your journey is great, but you've got all these different checkpoint people along the way. Like say your angels.
And do you find, Louise, are there conditions that this is me, Dr. Hat, back on again, but are there conditions or, situations in that you feel Pilates is particularly good for?
Yes, I'm going to say everything. Of course I am. For me, it is those fundamental principles, and it's the fact that there's such an approach, there's such a gamut of ways in, that really, that amazing equipment that I've probably spent all my retirement money on. So, I'll be in a corner with lots of kit. But because it is so copious, there should be a way in for everybody. So I have clients who are amputees. I have clients who have massive debilitating injuries and issues, have been through all kinds of surgeries and things. And if I want to teach them how to, Pilates is an approach rather than, there is a series of exercises, but if you look at the approach, then you can marry the person with the approach and the moves come later.
I like the sound of fluidity because
I think that, as a nation, we're pretty damn stiff and pretty held and pretty inhibited. So, I definitely like that. But this whole awareness and this dance you're talking about just sounds so beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, Joseph Pilates was amazing at the time. It wasn't called Pilates since his death in 1967. It's now called Pilates, but it was called Contrology. We talked about that last week, the ology of control. And he wrote a couple of books as well, looking at your approach to life. So, what he did with his clients in the studio was a very small part of this idea of your approach to life. And at the time, he was really criticizing that it's industrial era, people were stood in front of machines, curving over for so many hours a day, that their posture was bad, that their breathing wasn't great, they weren't going out into the fresh air. Well, however many years later, we have a similar problem, don't we? Here we are in front of our phones, our tablets, our computers. We have put lots of importance on this is how we work, and we put a sort of secondary importance on, but that's not necessarily great for us. So again, it's a sort of resurgence of a lot of those things that Pilates was identifying in communities at the time and how people were moving in everyday life. He even recommended to JFK, he wrote a little letter that said, well, you should have, contrology in every school in America. Get these kids moving in this way, because then you'll have a productive workforce and they won't be a strain on the system. Well, we have these debates all the time, don't we? Many, many years later.
Thank goodness for people like you who have physical intelligence and who can, I don't know about everybody listening, but I feel very attracted to diving into this world. Are there any guidelines for where and how to find a good teacher?
Yeah, it's tricky, isn't it? I mean, there's lots and lots of choices. Generally, if you are a mat work teacher, then you will have done your training up to what we call level 3. So there's lots of ways of doing that now. There's modular systems, there's an apprenticeship system, there's lots of ways of doing it. But it's usually about 200 hours of experience that get you to that point to start teaching. And that also means observation, it means case studies and that kind of thing. So, and then to go on to the apparatus, it's usually another 300 hours of training you do. So there are lots of really nice modular schemes now to help teachers, because that is a lot. But I would check if you're coming into it for the first time and you think, is that Pilates class at my local gym worth anything? Is go and talk to the teacher, go and talk to them about their qualifications or their experience, and you'll know.
Yeah.
You'll know.
Just tell us, Louise, who you're trained with, because you are now one of their trainers as well, aren't you?
Yes, so I am one of the newly instated UK educators for Balanced Body California. They've been around a long time. In fact, it's just, I have all their equipment. It's amazing equipment. But they're just starting to get a kind of worldwide approach and that connection with lots of really good quality educators around the UK. But there are, lots of other systems, I'm not big, other systems that work really well in the UK. But again, just do your homework. Yeah. Have a little look. There is the Society for the Pilates Method just starting in the UK, which looks like an overall a sort of board for standardization and looking at quality control. But it's still early days in the UK. There's lots of people doing lots of things that might or might not be Pilates in a Pilates class. So, I'm not so strict about it, but you want somebody who's going to take care of you, who's going to ask you plenty of questions about how you are and how you're feeling.
You want somebody that you've got a good relationship with. And I would say that about any therapist. You know, you try, if you haven't got that connection, move on to the next person, because you'll have somebody who's on your wavelength. I mean, that is a recognized saying, but it means literally vibrating on the same wavelength as you, so that you are aligned. And that is much easier to receive help in that state. I mean, you look after so many people, Louise. You hold so many people that come through your studio. Who looks after you? How do you take care of yourself? And who helps you with that? How do you keep...
You asked that question, didn't you, Karen? That's a bit debatable, isn't it, in all of this? I'll flip that to you guys at some point. Yeah, that's tricky, isn't it? Because you are holding everybody like this really all the time. And it's very difficult to say no. And you don't want to say no because you help people. But I've actually had my own business now for 20 years. And I do have clients who have been with me for that whole time. And you do feel very responsible. As I was saying last week to you guys, everything that is born is sort of destined to grow. And you kind of forget that, you know, because you're in the moment and you're doing the thing. And then suddenly it's this really big thing and the plates are spinning. And so I've not answered your question yet, have I? And the answer is I have to try and find some of all the things I profess to my clients for myself.
Yeah, because we want you around.
So it's difficult, you know. I also have, again, an army of angels. It would be nice to make more appointments with those angels, but locally we do quite a lot of kind of casual referrals, so physios and different physical therapists and things around here. I often, if there's a client that I feel, I mean, of course, I think Pilates is for everybody, but if there's a client I think just needs something else or some intervention some other way, there's a handful of people I can send, I know I can trust, I can send them to, and then they send them back to me and vice versa. So I try and have those people around me, and every now and again knock on their door and say, I don't suppose you've got space for me, have you?
We are each other's clients. I mean, Rosy says that all the time in the health creation mentor training, that we should use each other, and remember that even though we are a responsible person and we're a healer and we're looking after others, we are also a human being, and we also need to receive and let people look after us as well. You can tell I've nagged her on this quite a few times.
Well,
it's true. I also have, I mean, you might be able to see, I've got a beautiful Pilates studio in the park. It's an old renovated stables. And in my own head, when I came to look at it being renovated, I was thinking, for my lunch hour, first mistake, for my lunch hour every day, I'm going to go for a walk in the park, and I'm just going to take a bit of time for me, and it'll be great. It'll set me up for those afternoon clients. What a lovely embodiment of all the things I'm trying to teach. And everybody comes and says, oh, I have a walk before I come to my session, and oh, you've got a lovely park. And I go, oh, if only I got out there, that would be great.
Rosy, can she have a session with you, please, so that we can get rid of the limiting beliefs and she can go on that walk?
It goes both.
So even if I get 5 minutes, sometimes I just have to go, I'm running out, I'll be back.
Yeah, well, it is absolutely true that in giving we receive. And those of us who are healers, you know, there is no happier place. But also we say over and over again on our podcast that we have to have an in channel to receive the love, the compliments, the touch, the attention for ourselves to refill our well. But what a pleasure to meet you, sweetheart. What a gift you have. And a hugest of thanks for looking after my beloved friend Karen and giving her so much life and fluidity and flexibility.
Oh, that's a pleasure. And I want to say that it's all made worth it by people who have that kind of same understanding and same approach. You know, it does feed you back, doesn't it?
Beautiful.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you, Louise. I will see you very soon, my dear friend.
Yes.
And Rosy, I'll see you here soon, okay?
Absolutely love you. And next week we're going to delve deep. Karen is kindly going to share the details of her own unraveling, healing journey with us on that physical level. So be sure to join us next week. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Alive and Loving It. We really hope that today's conversation has sparked your passion and showed you ways to open up into the vibrant life that's possible for you.
Absolutely, Rosy. I mean, we do have to remember that transformation begins with love, and that is self-love. Love for others and love for our beautiful planet. When you embrace love and you just allow yourself to receive as much as you give, you unlock the fullest potential of your life.
That is the truth, Karen. And we're here to support you every step of the way on your journey. So if you enjoyed what you heard today, please join our community and check out our trainings and our services such as my Dr. Rosy Daniel Clinic and Karen's beautiful women's circles and retreats and the events where we can all go deeper together. And do please send us your feedback. We want to hear your ideas for the podcast, who you'd like us to interview, and the questions you want us to ask and get answered. Through the contact page on our website, just go to aliveandlovingit.org.
I've really enjoyed reading them. But when you're there, be sure to sign up for our newsletter and updates. And what about following us on Instagram as well? We are at Alive and Loving It Community. Once you've signed up to the newsletter, you'll receive extra notes from today's show and more inspiration to help you live your most vibrant life.
Thank you for being with us. Keep shining, stay true to yourself, and remember, this is your time to live your fullest, healthiest life.
So until next time, keep doing what you love most in life. I know Rosy and I will be. We're so excited to connect with you on the next episode of Alive and Loving It. And we welcome you with open hearts to our Alive and Loving It community.